Straight Outta Compton has another dominant weekend at the box office despite a week of controversial press for NWA and more specifically, Dr. Dre.
Ice Cube, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre. I gotta tell you, you are witnessing history.
Straight Outta Compton took the #1 spot for the second week in a row, bringing in an estimated $26 million. That puts the total gross at more than $111 million, nearly triple the $29 million production budget. But if last week was all about praising Straight Outta Compton, this week has been about acknowledging its faults, including the glaring omission of Dr. Dre's history with domestic violence.
Were the harsh truths left out of the biopic just a little too real?
Every person that I know that walked in to see Compton, they thought about the misogyny.
Just like racism is alive and well in this country, so is sexism, and that's my big criticism of the film. It could have been a great film if it would have had the courage to deal with that, but it did not.
And while no one has doubted the young actress' performances or the brilliant directing, the lack of acknowledgement of the group's violent past has been a point of contention. This week, director F. Gary Gray addressed why that piece of history didn't make it on screen.
The original editor's cut was 3 hours and 30 minutes long, so we couldn't get everything into the movie. What we had to do was make sure we served the narrative, and the narrative was about NWA.
Next up,
we've never met before, right?
taking the #2 spot for the second week in a row and spending his 4th week in the top 3 is Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, and the Arby's guy. The Mission Impossible team roped in a formidable $11 million and beat out 3 new releases this weekend.
You know why you're still alive? Because I chose not to kill you.
Though one could argue those movies weren't exactly tough competition. And at #3.
It's not real, Mom. It's okay if it's not real.
Last but not least, Sinister 2. The only new release to make the top 3 brought in an estimated $10 million. Sinister 2 is yet another horror sequel that pales in comparison to the original. Variety writes, anyone who found the original a cut above the average horror pick will likely leave the theater disappointed, if not downright insulted. Because horror films are so cheap to make, the temptation to make sequels seems to be unbearable for production companies.
I went into Dalton's room. There was something in there with him.
From Insidious to Paranormal Activity to The Conjuring, if a horror film has a great run in theaters, you can bet there will be a sequel, and it'll probably be terrible. As for next week, Owen Wilson throws a kid off a roof.
Just get your family the hell out of here.
For Newsy, I'm Jamal Andrus.